The ride of your life is daddyhood.
For those of you who cannot wait and love daddyhood, please head over to our Patreon. We have exclusive access to episodes, we have early access to episodes, and we have behind the scenes footage. Head on over there, sign up, be part of the exclusive daddyhood group, and join us over there. Welcome back to Daddyhood, Path to Parenthood. Here we go. Today's guest, I'm so excited to have Olivia Hallinan-Gann on. She is currently a sophomore in high school. She is a member of her school yearbook and hosts a podcast in her school's newspaper called Self-Love Isn't Selfish. She is on her school's dance leadership team, swim team, and is in chess club. A member of the ambassador leadership team, copy editor on the yearbook, and a member of her school's advocacy center. She volunteers with Headcount and My School Votes and is currently working on starting her own organization called Youth with YOU capitalized Can Vote, which aims to get younger generations involved in politics and voting, which is much needed. And she is a strong advocate for LGBTQ plus rights and lives with her two moms and spends time with her two dads, which, spoiler alert, I cannot wait to get into and discuss with you.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the last sentence there really just spoiled everything.
Yeah.
I mean, before we get into, your life and your story and your family, I've been practicing my dad jokes. So if you will entertain me for a second, I have a joke for you.
Okay, I'm excited.
Dad joke time. Olivia, what does a cow read every day?
Oh, I don't know.
You should know this as a newspaper editor. The moose paper.
Oh, that's a really good one.
That's a
really
good one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you can put that in your school's newspaper.
I will. I'll add that.
Or yearbook. All right. So where do we want to begin? I mean, you're how old right now?
I'm 15. I'll be 16 in March. So
You're 15.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just start when you first figured out your family was different.
When I first figured out my family was different, I mean, I think growing up, I never thought I was different. I mean, it was just my life, I never was like, this is so weird. This is so untraditional. I think when I started preschool, honestly, so as like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I realized that everyone had a mom and a dad and they were married. And I was like, wait, women and men are married? Like, this is so weird. I was so used to like same-sex marriages. So it kind of hit me, I would say, when people just asked about my family and I was like, I don't know. It's just like my family. I mean, I have 2 moms, I have 2 dads, and they're married. Like, it was never really different to me until people started pointing it out. And it was at a really young age that I realized that it was untraditional and it wasn't what the norm was necessarily. But it kind of just grew from there. And I realized it was kind of a gift to be unique in this way. And I loved my family so much. So it wasn't that I thought I was weird. It was just untraditional.
Yeah. Christmases and birthdays were incredible, right?
Yeah, incredible. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, so much fun. So how was your perspective? I mean, obviously, I feel like, being here, you're probably shielded a little bit just by what you were saying is like the non-traditional route. So let's get into like how, when you're explaining and talking to your friends at such a young age, like, do you remember like the first time you had this conversation with a friend of yours?
I mean, I don't know if I can pinpoint the exact moment. I think it was probably pretty early on, like as a 4-year-old or 5-year-old even, and starting a new school too. When you go from preschool to kindergarten, it can be different because everyone was like, who is this girl and why does she have 4 parents?
Yeah.
So I definitely had to explain it then, but I also didn't really understand it then. I was just like, oh yeah, I have 2 moms and 2 dads. Like, I didn't know the process behind it, and that was definitely a learning experience, was growing up and my parents just telling me like how I was made and why I'm in this world. And I think that's kind of, when I was younger, I remember just saying, this is just my life. Like, I just have 2 moms. I have 2 dads. This isn't different to me. But yeah, as I got older, I started to realize that maybe I could explain it and then maybe bring more awareness and bring more people to learn about it and more knowledge so people could understand it more. Because it is confusing when you first are like, how does this work?
So was there a moment that they sat you down and just said, hey, look, here's what happened and here's what's going on?
Honestly, not really. I think I just asked one day, and I don't know if they told me the whole entire story. I think, honestly, before I came on this podcast, I tried to learn as much as I could because I didn't know the whole story even.
So walk us through it.
Yeah.
This is going to be incredible for people to hear. So, like, if you want to just walk us through, like, the Spark Notes version, and then we can sort of dive into different points.
Yeah. So like the spark notes of my life? Or
Well, of just, the family and your dynamic
Yeah.
and how
works.
how it works.
Yeah, so my biological mom and my biological dad were met in their 20s, and they were kind of like platonic soulmates. They were best friends, and they realized, they were both gay as well, and they realized when they got older, they wanted to maybe have a kid together because they probably couldn't have him with their partners. So they were like, we're just going to have a kid together when we're probably around 40. And even if we're not with people or with people, it doesn't really matter. We want to have a kid together. So that's kind of what sparked it. And then they got older. They both got partners, and they weren't married because it wasn't legal yet. But they were with their partners, and my biological mom, was just basically told my other mom, my non-biological mom, a little confusing, that she wanted to have a kid. And my non-biological mom, I'm going to name them, Michelle, was just said, kind of was surprised by it because she never mentioned it before.
Yep.
And then they asked my dad, Daniel, to possibly, maybe he would help out. So they tried for about 2.5 years doing intrauterine insemination and then in vitro. Didn't work. They spent a lot of money. And then my mom was like, her doctor told her maybe we should wait. And she said, no, I want a kid. So she got an at-home kit. And then I was made with a turkey baster. And then my dad had to kind of give up his rights to me, which I know was a challenging kind of time for my whole family. And my other mom, my non-biological mom, Michelle, adopted me. So on my birth certificate, I have 2 moms, but to me, I have 4 parents. My dad, my biological mom, my non-biological mom, and then my dad's husband, Michael, who's like my non-biological dad.
Yeah. And you have what you would consider a parental relationship and like a relationship with 4 parents.
Yeah.
And so what do family dinners look like?
We actually have family dinner. We haven't done it recently, but normally every Thursday night we'll have family dinner. So all of us come over. My moms are divorced now, so they'll all come over, and luckily they have a great relationship. They're like best friends now, which is really funny. And so we'll all come over. My mom is a chef, so she'll cook normally, or we'll order in food if we're feeling too lazy. And we kind of just like talk. We're all so close, so it's just like such a fun night. I always look forward to it, being all together. And especially since I don't live with my dads, getting to see them is like so special to me. I talk to them basically every day, but especially my dad, Daniel. But just all of us being together it's really amazing. I mean, I wish people could sit on this family dinner because like the discussions we have, and I'm always debating them. I mean, I'm a teenager. I'm kind of mean to them sometimes. So it's really fun. And I have, like you said, I have like a parent-kid relationship with all of them, which is really nice.
So, obviously, for those who have been listening to the podcast, and when I had my fertility lawyer on, there's different stages through adoption and through surrogacy at times that you have to sign over rights and guardianship and your parental rights. So your dads had to make the decision when they were doing this to basically say, how do you know how that conversation went between your moms with your dads of being like, we want somewhat of a relationship, but we have to legally turn it over to you?
I think it was difficult. I don't know the whole story exactly, just because I think I'm not even ready for that. I don't really want to know, how difficult it is. I should learn it, and I probably will soon. But I know that they had to go to therapy and counseling because it was really hard for my dad. I mean, he's my dad. Like you want to have the parental rights to your kid, but they talked it out, they worked it out, and they didn't really know if they knew he would be this father figure, but I didn't call him dad until I was about 6. I called him Daniel my whole life for the beginning of my life, which is interesting for me to think about because now he's my dad. Like I call him dad. I see him basically every day. He picks me up from school. Like we have such a father-daughter relationship. So that's so strange to me to think about the fact that maybe I didn't consider him dad at the beginning just because I didn't know. Yeah. And I just thought I had 2 moms. So I didn't know also how a baby was made. I didn't know you kind of needed a dad and a mom.
I'm still learning how babies are made. Let's be transparent on all of this. I learn of a new way every other episode. So, are you an only child?
I am an only child. Yeah. Okay. It's just me.
So you got all of the attention.
I got all of the attention, all the love, which is great. I love it.
Incredible. So let's talk about like navigating relationships. I mean, obviously you're still very young, and I'm sure like you have so much to learn, not only about yourself, but also the world, which is, as you already know, with all the advocacy that you're doing, can be cruel and hard at times. Let's talk about like the support system and just, even it could be like, I don't know if you're in therapy or if you're even open to going there, but just sort of how you've been navigating support, because I'm sure, you know, there's people who probably have opinions, or you hear them say something that maybe they didn't intend to say in front of you. I want to get into that if you don't mind.
I mean, I've luckily never had someone come to my face and say, you're weird, you're different. I mean, as I told people when I was younger, they would, you know, sometimes children just let out their thoughts. They don't really have a filter. So people would be like, that's kind of weird, or that's kind of strange. But I didn't really take it personally, because I was like, I don't really care what your opinion is. I had such loving parents that kind of advocated for me and for themselves, and also learning about their own hardships. You know, being gay in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was so difficult, and it's even very difficult now. So learning that they had those hardships kind of made me feel stronger. Like knowing that I had their support as well after they have gone through so much and they made this world for me. Like, I don't want to get down about people being mean to me about my life, you know? And knowing that they just love and support me, and the amount of time and effort that went into trying to have me too, like 2.5 years is a long time.
For sure.
So I know that this is going to sound weird, but that they really wanted me, and that they really care for me. I know that for a fact. And just knowing that and always having that at the back of my mind has kind of kept me going, I would say. Yeah.
Well, one thing I can say too, just of all the guests that we've had on and how we talk about this, is as somebody in the gay and queer community, this is one of the most intentional decisions you can make. Yeah. There's a lot of intent that goes into building your family and to having a child. You don't just accidentally do it. You don't just all of a sudden have the privilege to do it. It's very intentional. There's a lot of sacrifices you make, whether it's financial and, you know, just different ways to go about this. So I'm curious, you know, how you're doing as a human being, and how you're navigating your own identity through your family, and through like this blended family and this loving family, but yet, you know, non-traditional in many ways.
I mean, I think when I was younger, I kind of felt like my identity was my family. I didn't really have my own. I was so attached to this kind of uniqueness I had. Yeah. And it was hard for me to kind of find how I myself was different, rather than just my family and how my family was untraditional. Like, I wanted to find my own strengths and my own weaknesses as well, you know, learning that. And I think that came recently, honestly. I went to therapy for the first time, so love therapy. I went this year for the first time, and I kind of explored myself a lot more there, and just because I felt really attached to my family and our untraditional dynamic, that I felt like I didn't have my own self, really. And I had to find that. And I still don't really know what that is yet, but I'm looking for it. And I think that's so important.
Yeah. I just turned 32, and I still don't know what my entire self is too. I'm still figuring it out. And that's the best part of life, is you don't have to have all the answers. So just keep being curious and finding it out. So obviously sense of identity in I don't know what your home, and maybe your definition of home is different. What is your definition of home?
I think my home has changed a lot over the years. Like I said, my moms are divorced, so that changed. That was a big change in my life. Yeah. I've never really lived with my dads. I've spent time there, but never actually lived there, but I still consider them home. It's more a person is a home to me. It's not a place. No place is a home. If I'm with my family, I feel at home. If I'm with my friends, even, I feel at home. You know, you can build those relationships. And knowing that, you know, my non-biological mom isn't my blood relative, but she still means so much to me. It just shows that, like, blood does not define your family or your home.
Yeah. And how has your extended family been in all of this?
My extended family is very supportive. I mean, I have a lot of cousins, as you can imagine, with 4 different parents. And with my parents having so many siblings as well, it's a big extended family. And luckily, very supportive. I know my aunt, who's also one of, like, a third mom to me. I was going to say second mom, but third mom to me. She was a little weary at first, just because my parents were older when they had me. My mom was 43 when she actually had me, and 40 when she started to try and have me. And, you know, that can be difficult. And she was a little scared, because also she kind of had this a little internalized homophobia, which isn't bad. I mean, it is kind of bad, but it was her time. And she learned that 2 moms and 2 dads can raise a kid, you know, like and now she's one of the most supportive. She's the sweetest person ever. So, but everyone has been very supportive. I think that just also, like, I don't have to explain to them my family situation. They know it, so that's nice. Normally when I meet a new person, like, the first thing they ask if they find out about my family, if I mention, like, oh, I'm going to my mom's house, or, you know, something like that, they ask about it, and with them I don't have to explain it, which is such a nice gift because they know, and it just feels so comfortable, if that makes sense.
Does that get at all intimidating or tired? Do you get tired of basically having to explain the situation to people?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it depends, because if I start telling someone, normally people will try to listen in and they're like, start over, and I'm like, so it's like kind of continuous. And especially like I've been going to the school I'm at currently since 6th grade, so 5 years now. But still, people to this day ask me about my family situation, which is, I'm glad they're curious. It's good to learn about, and I hope it gets more exposure, because there's so many different ways to have a kid, and maybe if they learn about mine, they could think maybe one day I'll do that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely can get tiresome, especially since it's a kind of long story, and I'm a little sometimes scared, especially if I go out of town. If I would go to sleepaway camp, and if someone found out about it and they asked me, I'd kind of be a little scared to say it in case they judged me. And I'm always a little scared of the judgment that comes with it. Luckily, being at my very liberal school, I haven't really been scared. But yeah, if I do go out and talk to other people about it, it gets a little scary for sure.
I can only imagine. Mm-hmm. I think that's one thing that, was my goal with this entire series, was just to really humanize, what families look like and mean and what they are. And I know I have plenty of friends also who have chosen family, which is like, an interesting thing where they don't have a relationship with their blood family at all. One, mainly because they probably weren't supportive during their coming out process. But I just know there's many different reasons of what chosen family looks like and families in general. And I think humanizing that experience and validating your experience too is important.
Yeah.
And I think it's so beautiful. And I think as long as, it sounds like you recognize that it's rooted in love. It's so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to know, and at such a young age, where are you drawing right now your inspiration from? Obviously you're doing so much with social impact and contributing with your work and part of all these schools and being a chess master on top of it all. Where are you drawing your inspiration from?
I mean, this is probably the expected answer, but from my parents. I could not do anything I do without my parents. I couldn't go through life probably without my parents, just because of their love and their support. And knowing, like I said before, knowing the hardships they went through coming out and coming to terms with their sexuality has just helped me advocate for their rights too, because those are always under question, and I think that's so stupid. So just coming with, I always have them in the back of my mind, I would say, and their support in the back of my mind when I do my advocacy and I work towards a better future. It's because of them, and I'm working towards a better future for people like them. And yeah.
Got it. I love that. All right, and I know they're probably going to listen to this, and I'm sorry, but I'm putting you on the spot, and you have to answer this.
Okay.
Do you have a certain parent that you go to for certain things? And can you give me an example?
Yes, and I think they actually know this.
They know their role.
No, they know their role.
Incredible.
With my biological mom, Monica, we have the same humor. We have the same personality, basically. We're almost the same person, which can be bad a lot of the times, but it can also be amazing most of the time. So I'll go to her if I just want to talk about anything in my life. And if I want to gossip, I mean, who doesn't love a good gossip? I'll gossip with her.
Totally.
We're very similar in that way, which can be challenging at times because we both also like to fight a little bit sometimes, which can, like I said, be challenging. But then with my non-biological mom, Michelle, she's kind of like the one who I go when I'm down, when I'm upset, especially. She's one to really talk about her feelings, which I always have trouble with, and my other mom has trouble with as well. So when I feel like I need to let something out, it's her. And I know she'll support me in that way. And then with my dad, it's normally, my dad and I are so close, which I love, because we rarely fight also, which I think is honestly a plus of not living with him, because I think we could have maybe fight if we did live together. But if I ever, especially, I think we got really close when my moms were getting divorced, because I was kind of the mediator between my moms, and I was just carrying all this weight on me, and I would go to my dad if I needed to talk about it. And he's really the best. And then with my other dad, he's kind of like a fun uncle, but I also consider him my dad, because he'll send me like pictures of Timothée Chalamet and Jacob Elordi, and we'll laugh about that. We have the same taste in men, which is
incredible.
Nice. It's great.
Incredible.
So yeah.
That's awesome. And trust me, as someone who has divorced parents, I know how hard it can be to sort of play that mediator and try to help, what you feel like is helping, but you're also so young. I mean, I was in college, sophomore year of college, when my parents split, so it just looks so much different.
Yeah.
I love that answer because you probably know who you can go to for what.
Exactly. I've learned to know who to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned in just your short time here on this planet? What's some lessons that you've sort of taken from your family dynamic?
I think just stop the judgment. I tend to be I would say I sometimes will judge people unconsciously almost. And especially if, everyone has different backgrounds and there's different whys to why people act, if that makes sense. Like, there could be people having hardships at home and that's why they may act out. And I don't want to just judge them based on that one time. You can't judge someone from meeting them once.
Totally.
And I think that's what I've learned, because if someone just judged me once because of my parent situation or because of my family situation, they don't really know who I am. So you can't judge someone based on the people they surround themselves with either, if that makes sense. Or that you can't judge someone based on their family life or their at-home life. And that's kind of what I learned, I would say.
I love that. What a great answer.
Thanks.
What is your definition of family?
My definition of family, it's definitely not blood. That's for sure. I wouldn't say that my family is, because, I consider my non-biological mom and dad my closest family, and I consider some of my friends my closest family. I think family is just where you feel like you can be your true self, where you don't feel like you can hide anything about yourself, where you're just letting it all out if you need to. You can be mad at them and they'll still love you no matter what. That's family to me.
Yeah. The hard truth sometimes is what you need. Incredible. All right, so we're going to play a little bit of a game.
Okay.
And then we're going to take a pause in the conversation. So you have a list of questions. I have multiple choice options. There is, I guess the correct answer is what you say the correct answer is, and we'll discuss. So here we go. I have no clue what these questions are.
Okay, so your kid scores a goal for the wrong team. What do you do? A, shout across the field, "What the hell are you doing?" B, hide under the bleachers. C, say nothing and check in with them after the game. D, cheer them on anyways and don't mention it.
I'm very competitive, so immediately my immediate reaction would be what the hell are you doing? But obviously I'm gonna learn. How old are they?
It doesn't say. I think I'm gonna say I did soccer in when I was 8, so they're 8.
Okay, 8. Oh, as much as it's gonna kill me, I would stay quiet and just I don't want to be the embarrassing family and the helicopter dad.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna stay quiet, check in with them after, see how they're feeling, and then also just point out to them that they went the wrong direction.
Okay.
Privately.
Okay, I think that's a good answer, but it's wrong.
What's the right one?
The correct answer is cheer them on anyways and don't mention it, because who cares?
Well,
this isn't varsity sport.
Well, that's the whole point, right? They're training for varsity sport.
Or they're playing a game.
Oh my gosh, you and my husband would get along great, because he would be the same thing. He'd be like, "It's for fun," and I'm like, "There's no such thing. It's for score."
Yeah, I think if my mom mentioned it, I would probably scream at her. So just expect some.
Well,
screaming.
see, here would be my plan.
Yeah.
I would take them to get ice cream.
Okay.
Mid-lick through the ice cream, I'd be like, "Yo, what are you doing? We got to get this right."
Yeah, that's
still bad answer.
That's bad.
Even ice cream?
Yeah, because
at 8?
you're this is bribery to me. You're
oh yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Okay.
You're bribery. Yes. Okay, next question.
Next question. Your high schooler wants to go to a party after homecoming. You don't know the parents. What do you do? A, you can go only if I talk to the parents and confirm that they will be there. Yes, but set a strict curfew. C, offer to have their friends over instead. Or D, offer to drive them to and from the party.
Interesting. I want my kid to have a sense of independency. I want them to be able to make decisions, and I would trust that I would have raised them to make those smart decisions. But at the same time, I'd want to support in some way or somehow. So I would offer to drive and to pick them up just so they don't make a poor decision.
Yay, you're correct.
Oh, yes. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's what my mom does. So
great.
I think that's the right answer.
Because then it gives you a start time, end time.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're involved, but you're not.
They're a little safe and most importantly, safe driving wise.
Yes.
I think that's important.
Love that.
Yeah, love.
Cool.
Perfect.
1 for 2.
Yes. So your toddler bites another kid at the park. What do you do?
Attaboy.
I know. A, grab them and run. B, profusely apologize to the parent of the kid. Or C, talk to your child about what just happened and then have your child watch you apologize.
I would say I would talk to my child about what they just did and then watch. Can I put an asterisk? I would make them apologize, but I would teach them in private how to apologize and then go let him or her implement that strategy.
I think that's right. I
Cool.
would say that's right. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
I think that, I probably would have just profusely apologized because I just wanted it to be over, but that is the correct answer in an ideal situation.
Great. Yeah. It's a learning moment, teaching moment.
Exactly.
Could be a negative and get messy.
Yeah.
Literally. But yeah, teaching moment.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, I have another one. Okay.
2 for 3. It's going well.
Okay. Your child has a big paper due but wants to hang out with their friends the night before. What do you do? A, find out if the paper is done and then let them go. B, no, because it's a school night. C, sure, because you trust that they already finished all their homework and are not waiting for the last minute.
I would hope by that time I would have some sort of sense how they're doing in school. So I would say C. I think Jordan might have a different answer just because he values academics a little more than I do.
Yeah.
As long as they don't kick a goal for the other team, they can go to whatever party they want to go to.
I think it depends on the child. For me, I think my parents would say C as well because you know, I would get my work done. But I think that it's always good to check too. So I'm between C and A.
I think check. Depending on what age. I feel like I would check and monitor through grade school, and then by the time they got to high school, I would know whether or not. Yeah. I'll be able to tell if my kid is lying to me.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Or deceiving me.
Yeah, very correct.
Which, by the way, had to be challenging for your parents because you probably could have used them against each other. Did you ever do that?
Oh, I did a lot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, very often.
But that's also. How hard was that? Because I remember, if I told mom a lie and dad a lie, and then I was worried that they would cross-reference, you had 4 different...
Oh, yeah, I had so many different... it would mostly... If there's something I would want, and then I'm would buy it with the joint credit card that my parents have, and then my mom is like, why did you buy this without asking me? I'd be like, oh, I told other mother that I could buy this. That normally won't work because they're we'll discuss. But if it's something else where it's a little more, chill, I'm able to it works out. 3 different households.
You're I'm not telling them my entire game plan here, but
I think if they were in the same house, it might be a little more difficult. But they have to actually call and talk to the other person to do this. It takes effort to check if I'm lying or not. So
trust me, I wasn't in the house when my parents got divorced, but that was an opportunity that I definitely took because I knew mom and dad weren't talking at certain points. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. All right, next question. Here we go.
Your kindergarten walks out in a completely clashing outfit, including 2 different shoes. What do you do? A, let it be. B, praise their self-expression. C, check to just make sure they are dressed appropriately for the weather and try to get them to change. D, who cares if they are late to school as long as they are in a coordinated outfit?
One, that would never happen because they would have 2 dads. So, gonna be styled to a T. Let me just put it that way. But... yeah, creativity. Have yourself be creative. I would applaud their expression. Yeah. But if it's wild, if it's too much and too loud and not the vibe, then I would just explain to them what's going on.
Yeah. I think you are. You've kind of changed my opinion because I was thinking at the beginning, A, let it be. But I think sometimes if you're the other parents are going to judge me because my kid is looking.
You don't want to make
your
life harder for your kid.
Exactly. So maybe help them out. But I definitely, I think recently I would wear 2 different color Converse or something because I thought that was a good look. This isn't recently. This is 6th grade. Got it. Wasn't a good look, but I still did it.
I did that in football. I would wear 2 different colored cleats, 2 different colored socks. Yeah. Yeah, you can tell I was trying to express myself in many different ways that it was confusing at the time.
Yeah. So I think either let it be or if it's really, really bad.
Okay.
Say something nicely.
Got it.
Kindly. Yeah.
Amazing. Was that the last question?
That's the last question.
Oh my gosh. So hard. There's so many decisions that you have to make as a parent. It's so intimidating. I'm not there yet, thank God. I can study up. as you can tell, my husband loves to read books. So I'm reading and learning right now all about parenting and advice, and just it's so interesting on a science level too, of like what goes into nature versus nurture and loving. Sure. But that's definitely something, we've spoke about too, is like just our families can be rooted in love.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the most important thing to any family.
It's so much fun, and it's so important to me to continue to tell different stories and, share my platform with different families and what that looks like, what the word home and family look like, in which your answers were beautiful. That's been the goal of Daddyhood, and there's no right or wrong, and there just is, and it's special.
I mean, I think that's great. I think anytime anyone asks about my family again, I'm just going to direct them to this podcast and say, learn about it here so I don't have to say it again.
There you go. Just be like, I'm going to send you a link. I don't want to explain to you my dynamic and my family. Yeah, go listen.
Exactly.
Olivia, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a bright, bright future ahead of you.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on Daddyhood.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Oh, before you leave.
Yes.
I need one piece of advice or wisdom, knowledge. Leave us with something.
Piece of advice. I would say, if your kid is mad at you, don't take it personally first, because this is also kind of a message to my parents in a little bit.
Listen up, mom, dad, listen up.
Don't take it personally, but also, your kid is probably going through a lot, especially teenagers. And I think it's so important to understand that teenagers, they just have a lot going on. And it's important to always be there supporting them, but to listen to them and to hear them and not kind of try and overpower them with your own ideas. Just listen to what they have to say. I think that's very important.
Do not overpower your children with your own ideas.
Yep.
Love that. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
That is a wrap on Daddyhood.
The ride of your life is Daddyhood.